Hey, what's going on, guys? It's ETA Prime back here again. Today I'm going to do a quick review of the Beelink A1 Android box. Right off the bat, when I open this thing up, it is tiny. It's 3 inches by 3 inches, 0.6 inches tall. It is a small little Android box. Before we get started here, I want to let you guys know that I bought this from GearBest with my own money. This was not sent to me for review. I got this for my kids' room so they could watch Netflix and YouTube on here without having to use my NVIDIA Shield or something like that. On the front of the unit, there's a small LCD display that'll tell you the time of day. Now, it automatically sets itself when you set your region and connect to Wi-Fi. It does have one USB 2.0 port, one USB 3.0 port, and a micro SD card slot for extra storage. On the back of the unit, it has a 3.5mm audio video jack in case you don't have a newer TV. It also has a gigabit Ethernet port, HDMI, and your power in. Just give you a quick view of the bottom of the unit. It does have some anti-slip pads. They are protected with a little film you need to peel off. They work pretty good. I've tried to move it around on the desk because that's going to be important to me having it in the kids' room. Now I want to go over the specs of this box. It's a decent looking box on paper. It has a Rockchip RK3328 quad core at 1.5 GHz. The GPU is a Mali 450 MP4, so that's a quad-core GPU, 4 GB of DDR3 RAM, which is pretty awesome for a small box like this. Storage, built-in 16 GB, gigabit Ethernet, one USB 2.0 port, one USB 3.0 port. It does have a micro SD card slot to expand the storage. Wi-Fi 802.11 BG and AC, so you can pick up that 5 GHz network. Bluetooth 4.0 and HDMI 2.0. So I've messed around with a lot of Android boxes and single board computers that contain the same Mali GPU. One of the big marketing ploys to sell these boxes are 4K video playback. Yes, it'll do some 4K formats, but if you have a $1,000 4K TV, go with an NVIDIA Shield Android TV, leave these boxes alone. If you want 1080p playback at 60 FPS, these are perfect. This box does run Android 7.1.1, and when I first booted it up, it prompted me to do an update, so I downloaded it, got the update running. Let's go ahead and see how this thing performs. In this video, I'm going to test some native Android games, PS1 emulator, and some video playback. Let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so here we are at the interface of the Beelink A1. It looks very similar to some other Android boxes that I've tested. One of the cool things this has going for it is that 4 gigs of RAM. Let's see if that helps out with video playback and Android gaming. In this video, I ran some benchmarks. I want to test some video playback, some native Android games, and PS1 emulation using RetroX. Let's get right into it. I'm going to be using a mouse for this demo. It's just so much easier for me to use it, but the remote it comes with does work, and it works pretty well. Over here, we have a little app bar that we can add apps to. Just need to click on once. Just gonna add a bunch of stuff over here. And I'll back up. Now we have the apps we want in the little app drawer here. First thing I'm gonna do is go to IDA64 and check out the specs. As you can see, we have the Beelink A1, 4 GB of RAM. Pretty cool for a small box like this. The CPU is that quad-core Rockchip. 4 cores, 1.5 GHz is the max clock this thing goes up to. For the GPU, we have the Mali 450 MP, and this is a 4-core GPU. It does only OpenGL 2.0. Even though it says OpenGL ES version 3.1, it'll only handle 2.0. Next thing I want to check out is the Antutu score. No extra cooling, this is all stock. 33,739. Very low score for high-end phones, but a decent score for a little Android box. The 3D score is where it's really lacking at 985, and that's due to the older Mali GPU. But the GPU is definitely sufficient for video streaming and video playback. Now, they do claim these boxes do 4K, but if you want a true 4K box, I recommend getting the NVIDIA Shield Android TV. This will handle some 4K at 30, but it's not the best chip to be throwing 4K content at. If you got a 1080p TV, I could definitely suggest a box like this. As for video playback, we can install the Google TV version of YouTube, but it's limited to 1080p. Go ahead and go to a 4K video. You can't hit that 4K mark in YouTube, but 1080p looks great and it works perfectly. I'll skip ahead a little bit here. Very smooth video playback. As for Netflix, it works like it should, but you only get the Android phone version, so you don't get the Google TV version that will allow you to do 4K videos. One app that I've been using a lot lately is Mobdro. One of my good buddies turned me on to this, and it's live TV. You don't pay anything for it. Not sure how legit it is, but it does work. I'm not going to play anything here, but if you go to channels, you got everything you need. And this does live TV, so you will get commercials and everything like that. So I guess they're just streaming some form of live TV. And it works great on this box. Next up, Cody. This is a Rockchip CPU. Cody has a lot of problems with Rockchip for some reason. But if you want to install a Cody build and stream movies, it works fine. If you want to do 4K content within Cody, it's not that smooth. So if you want to install a build of Cody and stream your favorite sports, TV shows, movies, live TV, it does work on this box. Now I'm just going to give a little demo of a 30 and a 60 FPS 4K MP4 clip. I'm going to use the built-in media center because this is definitely a Rockchip based media player, and it does allow better frame rates in 4K playback instead of using Cody or SPMC. So they include this media center here. You can access your external drive. I'm using a 1TB external USB 3.0 drive to play this video from. So here we have Big Buck Bunny, 4K 30 FPS MP4. I do have this hooked up to a 4K television. It looks amazing. Unfortunately, I'm not able to capture 4K content yet till I can get a good capture card. But it's playing very smooth at 30 FPS, as you can see. I'll go ahead and fast forward it, see how the buffer is. I'm going to exit this 30, and we're going to try the same movie at 60. You'll notice the difference immediately. It's very choppy. These chips are not meant to play 60 FPS 4K. So as you can see, it's stuttering a little bit as it's zooming in. I'll back out of here. And I always test the 60 FPS, even though the manufacturer doesn't state this will play 4K 60 FPS, just in case it runs it well. And in this case, it doesn't. Next up, native Android gameplay. I tried playing Asphalt Extreme. I cannot get it to launch, at least with this software update that's on here now. Maybe in the future it'll work. But Bully Scholarship Edition does work. I'm going to go ahead and plug my controller in. So here we are with Bully. This is on medium settings. I notice a little bit of lag here and there. We can go down to low and we'll see how that performs. And it does pixelate a lot, but the game runs a lot smoother. It's definitely playable on low.
You're newer than me.
If you want to deal with a little bit of lag every once in a while, you could use medium settings.
Why did you just walk into me?
I heard the new kid has been kicked out of 15 schools.
You're about to get hit, jerkhead!
You're just a bully.
Come on, barf bag! I can take it!
And finally, I wanted to test a PlayStation 1 game here. I'm going to be using RetroX because I don't have to install the BIOSes. Makes life so much easier. For playing these games, I'm using a controller called the GameSir G3S. It's a really nice controller available on Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description. It's my go-to controller for Android. I'm going to go ahead and test Bloody Roar 2 real quick. So if we're able to pull off PS1 games at a decent frame rate, NES, SNES, Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, all of those should work great.
You go the wolf, she not the leopard.
Here we go.
Get ready.
And I can already tell you this is going to work perfectly here. Very smooth playback, and it looks great too. You'll have no trouble playing any of these PS1 games. There are a few PS1 games that aren't really compatible with these emulators, but it's far and few in between, so you shouldn't have any trouble playing your favorite games at least. And like I mentioned, if you want to do SNES, NES, Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, Atari 2600, all of that stuff is going to work flawlessly on this box also. So my final thoughts on the Beelink A1, it's a decent Android box. There are several available on GearBest. If you need a box for a guest room, a kid's room, or the garage, this is a great option. Very small footprint, does do video playback pretty well at 1080p. Most of the older emulators are going to work fine in lower-end Android games. If you're interested in one of these boxes, I'm going to leave links in the description below. I'm going to leave some GearBest links and some Amazon links. I got mine on GearBest because it was a bit cheaper. They're on sale for like 66 bucks right now. It's definitely worth it if you need a second box. Really appreciate you guys watching. If you could, hit that like button and subscribe. And like always, thanks for watching.